Yeah, somebody will go outside.
They have to get the ones outside too.
Well, just get your voice, Dad. You don't need a microphone. Yeah, we're. All right, we're going to start the second session here. If we could all come on back in. It's too nice outside.
I think I'll stay around for a while for the tasting.
Yeah, and you don't need to. Yeah, Jim will do that. Yeah.
Because I don't think.
No, that's.
Some of the people want to buy it.
Maybe a little bit. Who knows? See a few of the. I think a few of the media, because that's when all the media comes in. So
well, isn't the media here already?
No, just select media, but they let all the media in. I mean, we just have a few media. Oh, I think a lot more. That's when everybody comes with media. See, with media. We only have. These are VIP media.
Just stay around our table.
Okay.
I think Ryan will pour the wine on us.
Yeah, he does.
These guys started into another market. Boy, you gotta come.
Go ahead, talk.
Testing. Testing.
All right, we're
Right on time.
Goes down.
Testing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Testing.
If we could all take our seat, we're going to go ahead and begin with our next speaker.
Okay,
If this doesn't work, I can do the.
yeah, let's get you out of here.
Everybody wants to catch up. That's why you don't like to take too many breaks. You know, it's too hard to get around. I know it.
Then you're ready to do this. I'm going to hang with you on the sound to see what happens. You know, worst comes to worst, you move away with the mic, and I push these when you tell me to.
That'd be fine.
Yeah. Worst comes to worst.
Yep.
You know, you're so close to this here, that's the problem.
Right. So is the tasting going to be over where we were?
Past that room in that right there.
Yeah, there are a lot of Canton barrels.
Oh, okay.
Catching up.
John, I would just start.
And Joe, maybe you can tell some of those guys how to see.
Okay, everybody, we're going to move into the enology session of our symposium here. If we could all take our seat, we're going to begin the enology session. I know the weather's beautiful out there, and I'm very proud to introduce our next speaker for our enology session. Hey, everybody. I appreciate the passionate discussion about Petite. That's the best part of these symposiums. Our next speaker is the West Coast sales representative for Canton Cooperage. While concentrating on the West Coast wine industry, Brian has also traveled to Chile, Australia, and Europe to consult with wineries on their oak needs. Prior to his responsibilities with Canton, Brian was cellar master for Belvedere Winery in Hillsburg, California. Brian has a total of 27 years working in the wine industry, with experience ranging from retail wine sales to production, winemaking, to his current position in sales of cooperage and oak alternatives. Please welcome Brian Geagan.
I'm going to do a little sound check here first, see if this works. I've got the thing on my lapel. Can everyone hear me? Is it okay? Okay. If you can't, just raise your hand and we can adjust things or go about it. We have
Why don't you move it on that side if you can?
Okay.
And I'll do the slides. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. First of all, I have an announcement to make in terms of the wines in front of you. Please don't taste those wines. They're for the following presentation. Let them breathe, please. So I want to thank P.S. I Love You and Concannon Vineyards for inviting me here today to speak. Those of you in the audience who are winemakers and Petite Sirah producers have a lot of decisions to make about how you style your Petite Sirah. And one of those choices is your choice of oak treatment. And I don't need to tell you that these days there are a little more volume, Joe? A little higher.
So let's take that one off.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, is that a little better? Okay. Lane, can you hear me? Good, okay. As I was saying, those Petite Sirah producers have a lot of choices to make in styling your wine, and oak treatment is one of those. And these days there are many choices, more choices than ever before in terms of the origin of the oak, French, American, Hungarian, other European, barrel configuration in terms of size, grain tightness, toast levels, and then there's a whole range of oak alternative treatments that are available as well. Being a proponent of American oak, I think American oak has an important part to play with Petite Sirah. A few years ago, I was on a panel at this event and made some comments about how I thought that maybe the sweeter aspects of American oak could really work well in kind of accessing the sort of solid core of fruit that exists with Petite Sirah and kind of making that more accessible to the palate. But I'm sure you all have your own opinions about what works best with your wine. What I'm going to be presenting here today is some research that was done by our research department in 2007, and it was done by a colleague of mine, Nicolas Tiquet-Lavandier, who was in charge of who's the manager of our research department in France at that time. He's now the quality control manager at Terranceau Cooperage in France. So he presented his work at a number of conferences, and then I think it was perhaps in late 2008, or in 2008, Nicolas came to California, and we took the presentation on the road and met with some winemakers individually to present his summary information. So I know some of you here today have seen this before. And so I hope this will be a good refresher course for you if that's the case. So I'm going to be presenting information having to do with specifically the effects of seasoning, natural seasoning of oak, the effect of the seasoning on the oak. So everything I'll be talking about today has to do with just the seasoning process, and there's no toasting involved. And these wines and some of the results we talked about at the end were not. We didn't make barrels and then do the tasting. This is only seasoned oak, so just a portion of this process. So I'll be giving you some summary information, but the other thing I wanted to, in way of introduction, is to say that I hope this will also demonstrate some of the efforts that we're making in the American cooperage business to refine and improve the quality of our barrels. Specifically at Canton Cooperage, we have been working with our French colleagues at the Terranceau Cooperage, and now with another cooperage, Kadar, Hungary. And this is a real meeting of minds between the French and the American coopers to create a good American oak barrel for the wine industry. And I hope this information will be useful in your deliberations about your oak choices. So we can start. Also, in way of introduction, this is our cooperage family here. Shenancy is the parent company. Terranceau is our French cooperage. That's near Cognac. Canton, the barrels I sell are made in Lebanon, Kentucky, right in the center of the state. And a few years ago, Kadar, formerly Budapesti Kadar cooperage, was acquired. So we have a Hungarian component as well. Our research department of Shenancy concentrates on three general areas. First is the geographic elements, where the wood is grown, the effects of soil, the effects of climate, rain, sunshine, wind, everything that can affect the actual growing of the tree. And another area of research is the effects of seasoning, which I'll be talking about today. And that has to do with everything that goes on, this very interesting and kind of miraculous transformation that goes on as the wood is seasoned in the open air. And the third area, of course, is the effects of toasting, something that's always being fine-tuned in terms of time and temperature. Our barrels are done in the traditional manner, so they're fire toasted. But if you think about it, there are almost an endless number of time and temperature combinations that can be employed, and they all have different results. And this is also a fact with the oak alternatives. There's a lot of work being done in terms of doing these fine adjustments, different combinations of time, of heating, and temperature. And it all makes a difference. And these are the species of oak we investigate, the white oak, and then the two French oak, Robert and Quercus sicilis. This Robert has the lower crown, and sicilis has the higher crown. So those are the European oaks. And those are the oak species we are working with in our research. And of course, these are I don't have Hungary up there yet, but these are that's the French forest there, Allier, Vosges, Nevers. Limousin is also noted there, but we're not working with Limousin oak. And then on the American side, our oak at Canton is sourced primarily from Kentucky, Indiana, Missouri, and a little bit of Tennessee. But the American oak forest is very, very extensive, the hardwood forest, and it's from the east coast there all the way through to the middle of the country. You can go ahead. So what do we mean by natural seasoning, what I'm going to be talking about today? The definition, and I should mention as I go forward, as I say, this is Nicholas's research, and he speaks English well, but you'll see the verbiage at times. You can tell there was a French to English element to it, so you'll see some of the verbiage is a little unusual. But what do we mean by natural seasoning? What we're talking about is right after, as soon as the wood is cut into staves, and it's put on a pallet or pallets in the seasoning yard at the cooperage, and this is when it begins, and it's a matter of this direct long-term exposure to all the elements of the climate. And seasoning, at least the industry standard now is about a minimum of 24 months to consider the oak to be seasoned. And as I said, you can go ahead and hit the next couple of ones, Jose. And this is just all the effects of the weather on the stacked wood. And I should mention that term up there, natural seasoning. You see, we're not saying drying, we're saying seasoning. Those things are very different. Drying is a portion of the seasoning. Drying is just the loss of moisture, and that can be done in a kiln. It can be done, and This is a different process, which is much more extensive. I guess maybe you can. Former studies that have looked at the effects of seasoning had to do with seasoning American oak with French or European oak in Europe. And the trials were never done for more than 24 months. In our case, in this particular study, this was done concentrating on American oak in particular, although you'll see in some of the slides that we do reference French oak. We did have some French oak that was seasoned at the same time, just to do some comparisons when we thought it was significant. The study took place at our cooperage in Kentucky, in our yard, and we were looking at the effects all the way up to 36 months of air seasoning. So the idea here was to take a look at the chemical and enological qualities of oak staves at different periods of seasoning to see how the wood is evolving. We think that American oak deserves special attention, and we want to take a look at the differences in terms of seasoning effects on American oak because it is a different species, and it has a number of botanical differences from the European oaks. There are structural differences, and one of the important differences is the fact that the American oak is richer in tyloses, and tyloses are structures within the wood that prevent liquid coming all the way through the wood to the exterior of the barrel. And this is why American oak can be quarter sawn, and French oak has to be split along the grain, otherwise the French oak will leak. So they're different in that way. You can go ahead. Go ahead. That's fine. We're going to take a look at the weather conditions here. Go ahead, Jose. You can go ahead. These are some weather results from Kentucky, where we aged the wood. I don't know how well you folks in the back can see this, but this is January through December. The figure in the middle is the average rainfall. So we're looking, I'm sorry, the temperature, the temperature, which ranges from an average low of in the 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and then up in summer it gets up to almost 90, and then you have this drop off again. You get a nice range of temperature. It's a somewhat moderate climate there. It's not as warm as some other areas like the southwest, for instance, and not as cold as you'd get on the East Coast. Although last week it was, I think it was about 109 at the cooperage with 80 or 90% humidity. It was really rough. And then the other slide there shows the average rainfall. You get rain throughout the season, and with a high of here in April of over 120 millimeters, which I think is about 4 3/4 inches of rain. So you can see you get a lot of rain. The total last year was about I think 45 inches. Here in Livermore, I think the average is a high average is about 14. So you can see there's a lot of rainfall there. This is a comparison. We did compare some of the temperatures in Kentucky and then at the cooperage in France. And here you see the average temperatures, Kentucky in the purple, southwest France in the yellow line there. And there are higher highs and lower lows in terms of temperature in Kentucky compared to southwest France. A little warmer in the warmest months in summertime, and cooler during the winter. And then the rainfall totals on the right slide, you'll see that there's a considerable amount of more rainfall in Kentucky than there is in southwest France. So these conditions are different, and that that's a matter of the watering of the staves, but also it'll affect microflora and all sorts of things that are occurring in the seasoning yard. Again, with natural seasoning, I was talking about the drying effect. Well, the other effect that you would assume is that there's going to be an effect from all that rainfall, and there is, but it's not as significant as you would think. We measured only a loss in terms of the compounds being washed away from the wood. It's only 0.035% of the compounds were removed from the wood by way of rainfall. But we do think that the compounds that are lost during because of the rainfall could be particularly harsh, like the coumarin compounds, which tend to be very drying and harsh. When the wood is out in the yard, in terms of the actual drying portion of the seasoning, it's progressive, and it's linked, as you would imagine, it's linked to time. Go ahead. And it's directly affected by the outside conditions. And the entire portion of the wood is drying during this portion of the seasoning. So there are two ways that the wood is changing during the seasoning process. There are chemical and abiotic ways in which this occurs, and both those terms have to do with processes, non-living processes. This would be weather, chemical change.